Going to be Andrea Galimberti and Dylan Tan on the front row of the grid for this one. Leonardo Mori next up in the mix alongside the hard-charging 229 Syndicate Cinnamon Kolkasem. Then we've got the 202 next up, fifth on the grid for Pano Steenmankong alongside Travis Teoh. Then Kian Shah, Jaden Pope, Didi Tse and Rafael Kamal. Then next up it is Tanapob Wadakat Supachok alongside Conrad Garrow. Next up, 13th on the grid for One Lap Ratanajan alongside Scott David Greenfield. And then the last five drivers, I should say, in the mix. We've got Johanatan Mosh for Simon, 15th on the grid alongside Melvin Shane. Then Zachary Boyce, Paco Miguel Samiento. And at the back end of the field, it is young Aidan Forbes. So interestingly, in this race, we've got the two youngest men in the entire Senior X30 field, starting first and 19th of these 19 karts. Aidan Forbes still learning the craft of Senior X30, but then of course you could say that about Andrea Galimberti. Youngest man in the field, won't turn 14 until June. But of course, because he turns 14 in this calendar year, he is allowed to step up into the world of Senior X30. So wins for Kai Burke and Aaron Garcia. Who will be the third driver to take a win? We're about to find out. For Andrea Galimberti, he's got to be the favourite, of course, from the inside. Dylan Tan beside him, then Mori, Cinnamon Kolkasem, Steenmankong, Teoh, Shah, Pope, Tse and Kamal. They'll come out of the final turn, charge down the main straight. Who is going to get the best jump of it? Oh, well, it's a jump start. Because the leaders went on the throttle too early, so the lights did not go out. So that's a false start and certainly not the best way to go about things. And that's going to make Andrea Galimberti's task a little bit hard into a relatively straightforward battle for the victory. He certainly didn't have one of those in the first race because the chain guard came loose. So hopefully things will go much better for him in this second race. But he's going to leave it very late indeed for them to get back there. He's left it very late indeed. So Andrea Galimberti taking a long time to slow down, and as a result, oh goodness me, everybody having to slam on the brakes to avoid hitting the cunt. So Galimberti really taking his sweet time to slow the field down. Are we going to go racing this time? Yes, we do. So Galimberti kickstarts his charge into the first turn. Dylan Tan trying to go with him there in second place. He manages to hold on to the position. Mori through in third. So good for the moment as Galimberti sweeps through in the lead. The top one, Kart Republic, holding the doors. Oh, a bit of a contact early up further back. That was one of the top ones going sideways in the air. That was Rafael Kamal, I think. He managed to land it on all four wheels, but that will certainly compromise him. That is the lead he's built up halfway round lap one. He is determined to win this one. Andrea Galimberti is just a rocket ship out front, as Dylan Tan is left to duel with Mori and Cinnamon Kolkasem. So Cinnamon Kolkasem is now going to be trying to get his way into the top three. Galimberti is 0.7 of a second, nearly 0.8 of a second out in front after one lap. Goodness me, he wants this, doesn't he? So Galimberti, Tan, Mori and Cinnamon Kolkasem. So Cinnamon Kolkasem in front of Teoh. Then it is Steenmankong in front of Jaden Pope, Didi Tse, Kian Shah and Rafael Kamal. So second place is going to be fairly evenly matched here, I think, between Tan, Mori and Cinnamon Kolkasem. All three of them really want to make a good work of it, but they're all going to find it pretty tough to compete against each other. Easily settled, is it? But Tan has certainly picked up a little bit more pace than he had earlier on, and he's certainly not as big an issue to the other drivers. 2 laps completed, and the gap is up to 0.9 of a second. Dylan Tan really is doing the best he can to close up, but Leonardo Mori looks like he's going to be more of a threat than Andrea Galimberti is. Out through the snail shell. And Leonardo Mori really trying to get clear of Cinnamon Kolkasem. The CRG looking for a bit to get by. So Cinnamon Kolkasem doing a grand job in 4th place here behind Mori. So the Malaysian, Leonardo Mori. Oh, behind, that was a lovely move from Jaden Pope. So Jaden Pope swept in on Travis Teoh, and that's good enough for 5th position for the Australian. So Jaden Pope works his way up into P5. That'll be very good news indeed for him. Then we've got some big challenges further back as well, because we've got Teoh on the DAP chassis and Rafael Kamal on the Kart Republic chassis, 10th position. When we say DAP chassis, of course, we do mean Kart Republic. It's just one of the brands within the Kart Republic family. But some drivers prefer the aesthetic look that the DAP gives, particularly with the vintage name. DAP, of course, giving us plenty of great karting stars of the past, including, of course, the late, great Ayrton Senna. So Galimberti stretching away from Dylan Tan. This is a masterclass from the Italian, who absolutely leaving no doubt in the minds of anybody how fast he is going to be and how fast everyone else is going to need to be if they want to beat the Italian stallion today. Dylan Tan second. Here's another good move. This is going to be Jaden Pope onto the Monkulkasem. He's got him. Lovely racecraft from Jaden Pope today. And it's great to see the Australian really living it up for the Top One Motorsport team. So there is Leonardo Mori, now under pressure from the Australian. Now Dylan Tan, I have to say, much better in Heat 2 than in Heat 1. He has not lost his way. He's picked up the rhythm. Although he's not able to stay with Galimberti, he's certainly the measure, if not the better man, between him and Leonardo Mori at the moment when it comes to maintaining tyres. He's not sliding around a lot, so that also really helps at this battle. Mori. Pope's going to get down the inside line, and that'll do. That's Jaden Pope into 3rd place. Good overtake from the Aussie. He's got a lot of time to make up on Dylan Tan, but Jaden Pope has the tenacity and the determination and the perseverance to make that work. So it's certainly going full guns blazing for Jaden Pope now that he's into 3rd position. Then Mori, Solomon Kokasem and Travis Teoh. Teoh is having a great race. P7 for Teoh. She can be very happy indeed with that. And certainly the 16-year-old from Pattaya is doing a grand job. 7th place, 8th position for Panush Tinmankong, who's not having as smooth a race as earlier on. Then 9th position for Kian Shah in front of Rafael Kamal. And then it is Tanapa Barakat Superchok as the field battles on. And now Teoh puts in her best lap, a 51.068. Dylan Tan, by the way, has just been in his best lap, a 50.96. So there's definitely still potential in these karts. You've got to remember that the drivers are not going to be clocking 49s because they're looking after their tyres. You've got to be fast but also smooth. You'll only get 49s in qualifying. So everybody just trying to stay in command. At a 50.965. Very strong work at the moment from Dylan Tan. His fastest lap of the race. I'm fairly sure the fastest lap of the race comes from Andrea Galimberti, who's just done a 50.69, a 50.61, I should say. Very fast, and 2.6 seconds now clear of Dylan Tan. If there was ever a response from Galimberti as to how to not do race 1 again, well, Heat 2, it couldn't be more different. It's absolutely blitzed the field. That frustration and that anger, I'm sure he's been able to channel into a very healthy fight back. Very good work. So as the battle rages on, it's Andrea Galimberti jogging away from the field, a country mile clear of Dylan Tan and Jaden Pope. Leonardo Mori P4, 5th place for Kukasem. But Andrea Galimberti goes on to lap number 9. 5 laps to go, and the gap is now 2.9 seconds. Wow, no doubt at all as to who's going to be going for the victory over the course of the rest of the weekend. Of course, that earlier disqualification is definitely going to count against Galimberti, but that doesn't mean he's out by any stretch at all. He's going to have lots more opportunities to fight back, and certainly keeping himself in the mix could be very prosperous. So as the juniors get ready to get their race underway, the cadets are also heading over to Parc Fermé to get themselves ready. I think the team here are doing a fantastic job to get us back on schedule. I think we're only about 5 minutes behind now. So Andrea Galimberti comes through to complete lap 9, 4 laps to go, and the gap is now over 3 seconds. What a performance from the man from Lake Garda, Desenzano in Italy, based now, of course, in Chengdu, the city that hosted the World Games last year. And so sport is very much a prominent feature in Andrea Galimberti's mould, whether he's on the racetrack or watching the sports out of his own bedroom window. Fabulous stuff for the Italian. And he is doing a grand job here. 3.3 seconds clear. And looking forward to seeing what happens next in this twist and turn weekend. Look, count the seconds back as Dylan Tan and Jayden Pope get back into view. But this is all about Jayden Pope now. He could make this a top 1-1-2 here, as Jayden Pope is really putting Tan under pressure. It's taken him a while to get up to where he is, but now that he's there, he's certainly not going to be hanging around. He wants to go for second place. So can Jayden Pope work his way through past Dylan Tan? I think he's got to catch him unawares. He's right behind him. That's exactly how he's going to do it. Jayden Pope in the snail shell. Boom! Fabulous job from the Australian. On lap 11, Dylan Tan completely unaware that Jayden was going to make the big slide up the inside line. And that's a 1-2 for top 1. Joys for the Australian. That's how to get it done. Neat and tidy as you like. And now he's got to try and get away from Dylan Tan. The thing is, the Kart Republic, they are both on the same chassis, so we know that that combination has got good pace, but Dylan Tan is struggling. You can see he's actually having to make adjustments there to keep himself cool, or keep the kart cool, I should say. But now there's big pressure from behind him, because now he's got Siddharth Sanamonkukasem, the 15-year-old from here in Thailand. He wants to take on Dylan Tan, and Tan is starting to struggle for tyre life again. It's amazing how these sets of tyres go through phases, and of course you've got to use them multiple times through the weekend before you put the fresh ones on for the final. Some, of course, will use a half set to kind of give you a little bit of time on one side of the kart. But certainly for Andrea Galimberti, that's not even on his mind right now. He'll think about tyre strategies later. For now, he goes into the final lap with over 3 seconds on his teammate, Jayden Pope. And sadly, there's not time for Heat2 to work her way through to third position to make it a 1-2-3 clean sweep. But they've certainly put on a great show all the way through this pack in Senior X30. And we are going to get a third different race winner from these 4 senior races. But as soon as we went through the first corner, it was very clear who that driver was going to be. The man who got the time absolutely sweet as a perfect nut in pole position. Now he's going to come through for the victory. Andrea Galimberti, that is the way you do it. Fabulous. Second for Jayden Pope, third for Dylan Tan, and fourth for Siddharth Sanamonkukasem. And so there we have it thus far. 3 big contenders for the victory from 3 different teams. Kai Burke for Bira Asia, Aaron Garcia for LOR Racing, and Andrea Sport. 3 big contenders for the victory in Senior X30 this weekend. Goodness knows which one of them is going to get the job done. But certainly an amazing start to the weekend, whichever way you slice it. And certainly Senior X30 is going to be very competitive from the outset.